Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back in lecture number 2. And let's have a look what did we study in our previous lecture, and then we can come back to our topic. And in fact, in last lecture we covered the following topics, that is the financial management, acquisition, financing and management of assets with some overall goal in mind. So when we talk of financial management, so actually we are talking about the acquisition, financing and management of the assets, because based on these three functions of financial management operates. So the management has to keep in mind what are the overall goals of the corporation or of the firm or of the business. So the goal of the business, as we mentioned in our previous lecture, that is to maximize the wealth of the shareholders, that is the owners. And we described financial management in terms of three major decision areas that confront the financial managers, that is the investment decisions and financing decision and asset management decision. Investment decision, that is to which investment, to what project a firm should make their investments. फर्म जो है उसके पास बहुत सारी ऑप्शंस हो सकती हैं प्रोजेक्ट्स की, उनमें से किस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए फर्म ने, जो फाइनेंशियल मैनेजर्स हैं, उन्होंने डिसाइड करना है कि कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट फर्म के लिए बेस्ट सूटेड है, जिसमें से फर्म के लिए ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वैल्यू ऐड हो सके. एंड देन फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंसिंग जो है वो कैसे अरेंज करनी है. द फाइनेंसिंग मे बी इट इज़ आउट ऑफ डेट फाइनेंसिंग एंड इट मे बी इक्विटी फाइनेंसिंग. अगर डेट फाइनेंसिंग है तो कौन कौन से सप्लायर्स हैं, कौन कौन से कैपिटल प्रोवाइडर्स हैं जिनसे कैपिटल अरेंज करना है. और इक्विटी फाइनेंसिंग है तो उसके लिए शेयर्स इशू जो हैं उनको हैंडल करना है. एंड देन एसेट मैनेजमेंट डिसीजन कि एसेट जो है उसको डेप्रिसिएट कैसे करना है, उसकी यूजफुल लाइफ कैसे है, उसको रिप्लेस कब करना है. सो ऑल दीज डिसीजंस दे आर ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट. And then identify the goal of the firm's wealth maximization. Wealth maximization is the goal of the firm. And agency problems, as we know and we discussed in our previous lecture, that there is always a conflict between the owner and the management. When the owners, they are the managers, then there is no conflict of agency. But when the management and the owners, they are separate entities, in that case it is sure they must be having some problem in their day-to-day relationships. So that is the agency theory. And social responsibility of the firm, it means protection of the customer. And protection of customer would mean that the customer should be protected against any kind of cheating or poor performance of the product or bad quality of the product. And then welfare of the employees, और उस कॉरपोरेशन के, उस फर्म के, उस बिजनेस के जो एम्प्लॉइज हैं उनकी वेलफेयर. इट मे इंक्लूड द हेल्थ इंश्योरेंसेज, इट मे इंक्लूड अकोमोडेशन फॉर देम, एंड इट मे इंक्लूड द गुड वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट. एंड फेयर हायरिंग प्रैक्टिस, दैट इज when the firm is going to hire some employees, it should hire on merit instead of personal likings or dislikings. There should be fair hiring practice. And supporting education and protecting the environment. So the firms should be socially responsible and they should protect the environment, and at the same time they should be supporting the projects, maybe educational projects. So these are the things we discussed in our previous lecture. And today we are going to discuss the second chapter of your book, that is financial management, and the topic of the chapter is the business, tax and financial environment. And the learning outcomes, after studying this chapter, you will be able to describe the 4 forms of business organization and the advantages and disadvantages of each form of the business organization. And also you will be able to understand the various methods of depreciation, that is how to depreciate an asset over a given time period, over a useful life of the asset, and understand why acquiring assets through the use of debt financing offers a tax advantage over both common and preferred stock financing. इसमें हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि डेट फाइनेंसिंग जो है वो क्यों बेटर है ओवर common stock financing or the preferred stock financing. And there is actually a tax advantage, so that's why the debt financing is preferable over other forms of financing, and we will be discussing in detail in this lecture. And also you will be able to describe the purpose and makeup of financial markets, that a financial market is a place where the investors, they are able to invest their savings, and the companies, the firms, the businesses which require financing, they can arrange their financing out of these financial markets. And also you will be able to understand and demonstrate an understanding of how letter ratings of the major rating agencies help you to judge a securities default risk. इसमें मुख्तलिफ जो रेटिंग एजेंसीज हैं वो रेटिंग करती हैं डिफरेंट बिजनेसेस की, एंड यू माइट हैव सीन द रेटिंग ऑफ डिफरेंट बिजनेसेस एज A+ or AA+, something like that, and using that information you can understand the risk associated with each of the firm and which firm is better to be with for investment and which firm is not good for investment. And also you will be able to understand what is meant by the term structure of interest rates and relate it to a yield curve. And in today's lecture, following topics, that is the business environment, the tax environment, the financial environment. So first of all, we are going to discuss the business environment. In US, there are 4 basic forms of business organizations, and in each country they have their own forms of business organizations, and mostly we copy each other. Like if the business structure in US, if there is a business structure in US, most probably there will be the same business structure in Pakistan and other countries as well. So there are 4 business forms, that is sole proprietorship, partnership, that is general and limited, and corporations, limited liability companies. So these are different forms of business organizations, and we will be discussing them each and every one. So first of all, sole proprietorship. So as it is clear, that is sole proprietor, it means one person will start a business. We also call it an entrepreneur. So it is a business firm for which there is one owner. This single owner has unlimited liability for all debts of the firm. So that single owner is responsible for all the liabilities and all the operations of the business. And this is the oldest form of business organization. Business income is accounted for on the personal income tax form. And the advantages of disadvantages of sole proprietorship are, first of all, the advantages: it is quite simple to establish. There is not much documentation and legal works. It is not required in the preparation of in the establishment of sole proprietorship, and low setup cost. The cost involved is also lower, and quick setup. It can be established, it can be set up very quickly, and single tax filing on individual firm. And also in corporations there is chance of double taxation. So here whatever income is earned, that makes the part of the proprietor's income, and the single form of tax is required in this case. And disadvantages are unlimited liability. अगर बिजनेस कोलैप्स होता है और अगर बिजनेस डिफॉल्ट कर जाता है, in that case all the claims and all the liabilities will come to the entrepreneur or the sole proprietor, and it is hard to raise additional capital because the risk with the individual is higher. So the capital providers would be conscious, and the risk associated, because of the risk associated with the sole proprietor, it will be difficult for the entrepreneur to arrange capital. And transfer of ownership difficulties, because all the things and all the links and all operations of the business, they are linked with one person. So it is difficult to shift it to someone else, because all the liabilities, all the assets and all the operations and all the information, to shift it from one person to another person, it will take time, and it may be difficult as well. And the next business form is the partnership, and it is quite familiar with every one of us. That is a business firm in which 2 or more individuals act as owners, and they get together for different types of businesses. It may be a joint venture, it may be for an unlimited time period, and it may be for a particular project. After the project finishes, the partnership would dissolve, and it may continue for a longer time periods. And the business income is accounted for on each partner's personal income tax form, and the income is divided among the partners, and each partner's personal income tax form is required in this case. And there are different types of partnership, that is general partnership. In this case, all partners have unlimited liability and are liable for all obligations of the partnership. So just like a sole proprietor in this arrangement, which is a general partnership, all the members of the partnership, the liability to them is unlimited. And in case of limited partnership, limited partners have liability limited to their capital contribution, that is investment only, and then there should be a general partner, one at least, and it may be more than that. So the liability for the general partner would be unlimited just in case of general partnership. And the advantages of disadvantages of partnership are: the advantages, it can be simple and low setup cost, higher than sole proprietorship. So the sole proprietorship is have lowest cost, but when we come to the partnership, it have a little higher cost, but if we look at the other forms of businesses, it is quite low. And relatively quick setup, इसमें भी टाइम कम लगता है to establish this type of business, and limited liability for limited partners. और इसमें इस पार्टनरशिप के अंदर जो लिमिटेड पार्टनर्स होंगे उनकी लाइबिलिटी जो है वो इन्वेस्टमेंट तक लिमिटेड होगी, और जो जनरल पार्टनर्स हैं उनकी लाइबिलिटी अनलिमिटेड होगी. एंड डिसएडवांटेजेस आर द अनलिमिटेड लाइबिलिटी फॉर द जनरल पार्टनर्स, difficult to raise additional capital but easier than sole proprietorship, because the sole proprietor is one person, but here when we come into a partnership there are more than one person, so the risk associated with this type of business is lesser than the sole proprietorship, so it is easier for the partnership to arrange financing in comparison to the sole proprietorship. And transfer of ownership difficulties, just like sole proprietorship, it is also hard to transfer the ownership in case of partnership as well. And then corporation, which is the main subject of our topic. The corporation is a business firm legally separate from its owners. So it is a separate legal entity which has its own liabilities, its own assets, and it has owners in the case of shareholders, and an artificial entity that can own assets and incur liabilities. And business income is accounted for on the income tax form of the corporation, because it is a legal entity, so it has to pay its own taxes. And there comes the chance of double taxation, because the corporation, it pays its own taxes, and then when the income is divided among the owners of the corporation, that is the shareholders, the tax is charged again to all those shareholders. So there is a chance of double taxation, and the businesses and the regulations, they try to avoid double taxation, and there are different regulations which help avoiding double taxation. And the advantages of a corporation are limited liability. All the shareholders, which are the ownership of the shareholders is equal to the investment in the shares. That is, अगर किसी शेयर होल्डर के पास 10,000 रुपीज़ के शेयर्स हैं, इट मीन्स उसकी लाइबिलिटी जो है वो 10,000 तक है. सो द लिमिटेड लाइबिलिटी एंड इजी ट्रांसफर ऑफ ओनरशिप. Whatever the investor has invested into the corporation in the form of shares, it can be sold into the secondary market, and the person or the investor can withdraw his or her investment from the corporation. And unlimited life, the concept of going concern, the business is established forever, and easier to raise large quantities of capital, because the corporations, they have their own assets, their own liabilities, and using their information of financial statements, the investors, they can associate a level of risk with them, and the risk normally is lower in case of corporations, so it is easier for the corporations to arrange finances. And the disadvantages, as I mentioned before, chances of double taxation and more difficulties to establish, because it's a big business, so there is a lot of requirements. For example, in case of Pakistan, a lot of legal requirements would be required by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan and Government of Pakistan. So all those things, which it makes it difficult to establish a corporation, and more expensive to set up and maintain, because the huge setup of a corporation, the expenses are higher, so it is quite difficult to maintain and set up a corporation. Another form of business which is called as limited liability companies. It is a business firm that provides its owners, called members, with corporate style limited personal liability and the federal tax treatment of a partnership. So here it is kind of hybrid between a partnership and a corporation. इसमें liabilities जो हैं वो limited हैं just like a corporation, और जो taxes हैं they have to be paid by the partners, not by the limited liability company. And business income is accounted for on each member's individual income tax form. Limited liability company generally will possess only the first two characteristics of a standard corporation. For example, the characteristics listed down here, they are for a corporation, but a limited liability company will have only the first two characteristics of a corporation, that is limited liability and centralized management. The rest of the characteristics, that is unlimited life, transfer of ownership without other owners' prior consent, so this is for the corporation only. And summary of limited liability company, that is we calculate the advantages and disadvantages here. The limited liability is an advantage, and it eliminates double taxation because tax is not deducted from the limited liability company, but the partners, they have to pay taxes, and no restriction on number of type of owners, and easier to raise additional capital because the liabilities are limited. The business, they have their own assets and liabilities, so it is credible than sole proprietorship and partnership. And disadvantages are limited life most of the time, and transfer of ownership difficulties. In case of limited liability companies, it is not like corporations where you can transfer or you can withdraw your investment using the secondary markets. So in case of limited liability company, it is difficult to transfer the ownership. And now we come to the main topic of this chapter, that is income tax. And when we talk of corporate income tax, the rates are charged in different slabs. For example, if you look here in this row, where the income is between 0 and 50,000. So any income of a corporation which lies between 0 and $50,000, the tax rate is 15%. And 15% will be applied to an income which is more than 0. Okay, and when the income goes beyond 50,000, that is it is between 50,000 and 75,000. It means the 50,000, the first 50,000 will be having a tax rate of 15%, and any increment over this income will be having a tax rate of 25%. So here you can see for the first 50,000, the tax is calculated is at the rate of 15%. It makes 7,500, and any income above 50,000 will have an income tax of 25%. So when the income goes beyond 75,000 and up to 100,000, and now we calculate the tax, that is the first 50,000 will have a tax of 75,000, and then for the next 25,000, that is from 50,000 to 75,000, for this 25,000 the tax rate is 25%. So it makes 6,250, and when you add 7,500 and 6,250, we get 13,750, and any income more than 75,000 will have a tax rate of 34%. So here, if we look here, when the income goes from 100,000 to 335,000, so it means we have this 13,750 plus there is an increment again of 25,000. So we have an increment of 25,000, and we have rate for that increment equal to 34%, because it is more than 75,000 but less than 100,000. So here the tax rate is 34%. So when we calculate this tax and we add it in 13,715, 22,750, we get 22,250, and likewise we can calculate for all the incremental incomes. अब इसमें marginal income tax और average income tax का concept we can understand here. So when we move down, we have that example as well here. So the AB Corporation is calculating the income tax liability, marginal tax rate and average tax rate for the fiscal year ending December 31. So the company is going to calculate the marginal tax rate and the average tax rate for an income of $250,000. So the income here is $250,000. Our tax rates will be applied as we discussed in our previous slide. For the first 50,000, the tax rate is 15%, and then an income above 50,000 to 75,000, income tax is 25%, and then from any income above 75,000 to 100,000, the tax rate is 34%, and then from 100,000 to 335,000, income tax rate is 39% or 34%, I guess. So we calculate it. You can see here that is for an income equal to 100,000, we have a tax as we calculated in our previous slide equal to 22,250, and for income above $100,000 up to $335,000, we have a tax rate of 39%. So you can see here, if we deduct 100,000 of it, that is the marginal income, so that will become $150,000. So when we apply 39% on it, we get this amount, and we add up both of the taxes, and we get a total amount of tax equal to 80,750. So this is the total tax paid, and the marginal tax rate which is applied here, it is 39%, and if we calculate the average tax, so that is the tax paid divided by the income over which the tax applied. So we have an average tax rate of 32.3%. So instead of different marginal income taxes, we have an average tax for the whole income. And then another important topic and very important concept, because we will be using this concept over the next few chapters as well, and this is depreciation. And most of you are familiar that when the asset is used, it has wear tear and it might be outdated because of the technical improvements in the assets, and the efficiency reduces every day. So that's why we charge a depreciation expense such that over a useful life of the asset, we bring it to a zero value at the end of the useful life, such that the asset can be replaced with a new one again. And there are different advantages as well कि जब हम depreciation expense charge करते हैं, तो it means कि हमारी जो income है that is reduced, और उस reduced income पे हमें lesser amount of tax जो है वो pay करना पड़ती है. So different corporations and different businesses, they use different techniques to charge depreciation. In the initial years, companies जो हैं वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा amount of depreciation जो है वो उसको charge करते हैं such that कि उनको tax जो है वो कम से कम pay करना पड़े. So depreciation represents the systematic allocation of the cost of a capital asset over a period of time for financial reporting purposes, tax purposes, or both. And generally, profitable firms prefer to use an accelerated method for tax reporting purposes. And there are different methods. You can see here one is straight line method, that is अगर asset की value है 100,000 और उसकी useful life है 5 years, so we divide 100,000 by 5, it will become 20,000. So every year we will be charging a depreciation equal to 20,000 such that at the end of the 5th year, the assets value would become 0. And then accelerated types, इसमें यह है कि शुरू के सालों में ज़्यादा amount of depreciation वो charge की जाती है और then gradually it is reduced, or at the end of the useful life, the assets value becomes equal to 0. अब एक्सेलेटेड टाइप्स में डबल डिक्लाइनिंग बैलेंस मेथड है और इसके अलावा मॉडिफाइड एक्सेलेटेड कास्ट रिकवरी सिस्टम है, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम वी विल बी यूजिंग MACRS in the coming chapters as well. So let's discuss the MACRS by example, that is Modified Accelerated Cost Recovery System. So in this example, we will be using the double declining balance method concept and also the straight line balance method as well. So in this case, assets are depreciated based on one of the 8 different property classes. इसमें हम एसेट की यूजफुल लाइफ जो है उसके हिसाब से उसको डिफरेंट प्रॉपर्टी क्लासेस में डिवाइड करते हैं. इट मे बी 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 एंड देयर आर डिफरेंट 8 कैटेगरीज. एंड जनरली द हाफ ईयर कन्वेंशन इज यूज्ड. इसमें हम डबल डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करते हैं देन द स्ट्रेट लाइन मेथड. लेकिन पहले साल में जो डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज की जाती है दैट इज फॉर 6 months and then it is charged for the full months and the last year's depreciation is again charged for the 6 months. और अगर किसी एसेट की यूजफुल लाइफ है फॉर एग्जांपल 5 years, तो इन दैट केस हम पहले साल 6 महीने की डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करेंगे एंड देन फॉर द नेक्स्ट 4 years हम उसकी 1 year डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करेंगे एंड देन फॉर द रिमेनिंग 6 months depreciation we will charge at in the last year. So we will clarify this concept by the example. AB Corporation is calculating the depreciation on a machine with the depreciable basis of $100,000, a 6-year useful life and a 5 years property class life. अब इसमें यूजफुल लाइफ एसेट की है 6 years और इसमें जो प्रॉपर्टी क्लास हम यूज करेंगे दैट इज फॉर 5 years. व्हेन यू लुक इनटू योर टेक्स्ट बुक यू विल हैव डिफरेंट प्रॉपर्टी क्लासेस और यू विल सी कि इफ द प्रॉपर्टी क्लास इज 5 years हम उसको 6 years में डेप्रिसिएट करेंगे, यानी हम उसमें 1 year ऐड करेंगे बिकॉज हमने शुरू में 6 महीने के लिए यूज किया डेप्रिसिएशन को और देन इन द लास्ट ईयर अगेन वी कैलकुलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन फॉर द 6 months. सो इन टोटल इट मेक्स 6 periods. And then annual depreciation charges are calculated using modified accelerated cost recovery system, that is MACRS. So you can see here for the 5 years property class, at the time of the purchase of the asset, the book value of the asset is $100,000 and then the next year we charge a depreciation for half year, that is 6/12, it makes 0.5. And then we double it because we use the double declining balance method in the first half of the useful life and then the remaining half we use straight line method. अब इसको हम double करते हैं and then we calculate the depreciation by dividing it with the useful life of the asset, that is 5 years. So we have a figure here that is equal to 20,000. So if we calculate it, it becomes 20,000 and then the book value becomes 80,000, that is 100,000 minus the depreciation for the year 80,000 and that is the book value of the asset equal to 100,000 minus depreciation 20,000. So the next book value becomes 80,000 and next year the depreciation is charged again double. So you can see here the depreciation using 80,000 divided by 5 into 2, that is we double the depreciation. So you can see here the balance becomes 32,000 here and the remaining book value becomes 48,000 and we keep on calculating it and then we reach half of the life, that is 3 years, and after that whatever book value is we depreciate it using the straight line method. अब हमारे पास remaining 2.5 years हैं, so we depreciate it over 2.5 years. So we have a book value of 28,800 divided by 2.5, so we get 11,520 and then again for the next year it will become 11,120 and then again for the next year it becomes 11,520 and then for the next period, that is for 6 months, the depreciation would become automatically half because we multiply it with 0.5 because we have the remaining period of 6 months. So it is half of 11,520, so it is 5,720. So at this time the book value becomes equal to 0. So this is modified accelerated cost recovery system. And for different property classes, we can calculate directly that which depreciation charge or what percentage each year will be charged. For example, in our previous slide, if you look here, you can associate a percentage rate for each and every year. Okay, so this will determine the depreciation charges every year. For example, in the first year it will be 20%, and then the next year it will be 32%, and then it will be 19.2%, then 11.52%, again 11.52%, and 5.76%. And these depreciation charges using MACRS, you will be able to memorize them because हम इसको next chapters में भी आम तौर पे 3 और 5 साल के जो प्रॉपर्टी लाइफ हैं उनको यूज करेंगे. So if you look in the next slide, so different property classes are mentioned here, that is 3 years, 5 years and 7 years. And we mentioned before कि हम पहले साल 6 month की depreciation charge करेंगे, and then in the final year again we will charge a 6 month depreciation. So for a 3-year property class, depreciation will be charged over 4 years. And again, for a property class of 5 years, you can see it will be depreciation will be charged over a time of 6 years. And for a property class of 7 years, the depreciation will be charged over a time of 8 years. अब हम इसमें ये सारी परसेंटेजेस जो हैं वो कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं. अगर लेट्स सपोज के बुक वैल्यू ऑफ एसेट इज 100, एंड देन it all the depreciations you calculate using the MACRS will determine the percentage of the depreciation for each and every year with respect to the initial book value. And the next concept is interest deductibility. This is again very much important because when we have a debt financing in our total financing, so there will be interest payments. So interest is a tax deductible expense. On our income, on the firm's income, tax will be charged after payment of interest. And because of this interest payment before the taxes, there is a tax saving. So we will be discussing that concept as well here. So interest expense is the interest paid on outstanding debt and is tax deductible. And cash dividends is the cash distribution of earnings to shareholders and is not a tax deductible expense. अब इसमें जो debt financing portion है उसके against जो expenses हैं debt financing के, that is cost of capital, which is the interest on that debt, we pay it before payment of tax. Whereas and after payment of interest and tax, whatever income is left with the firm or the corporation, that will be divided among the preferred stockholders and the common stockholders. So in this case, we can measure what amount of tax has been saved by the interest, or effectively how much interest the firm has paid. So you can see here the after tax cost of debt is equal to the interest expense into 1 minus tax rate. Suppose firm की जो income है where the debt is not the part of financing or the capital structure, firm ने कोई भी tax interest expense pay नहीं करना, उसकी total financing comes out of stocks. So suppose उसकी income है $1,000 and the firm has to pay 40% tax on it, and 40% tax will become 400. अब उसकी firm की जो income है that will become equal to 600. That is after payment of tax, income after tax. Whereas अगर उसके total financing में debt proportion है for example 50% or whatever portion, और firm ने उस पे interest pay करना है suppose $100, अब उसकी जो income है that is tax deductible, which it will be reduced by 100, that is interest. So this interest expense will make the tax deductible income to 900. अब इसके ऊपर जब 40% tax apply होगा, it will be 360, and the net income would become net income would become 540. And you can see here effectively for a financing in a proportion suppose 50% in the total capital structure, firm ने interest expense जो effectively pay किया है, instead of $100 the firm has paid only $60. you can see the net income after interest, payment of interest, there is a difference of $60. So instead of paying $100, effectively firm has paid only $60 because अगर हम इसमें से $60 को minus करें, then we get 540. So effectively firm has paid 540. So the cost, the after tax cost of debt is equal to $60. So you can see here, if the interest expense paid is 100 into 1 minus 0.4, that is the income tax, it will make $60. So you can see here the after tax cost of debt is equal to $60, whereas the interest expense is $100 and the tax rate is 40%. अब इसमें you might think कि before paying interest, without paying interest, firm की income है $600 और after payment of interest, firm की income है $540. अब इसमें the catch is कि in the total debt financing, अगर debt financing का part है, in the total capital structure of the firm, अगर debt financing का part है 50%, तो अब remaining 50% पे जो firm को dividends pay करना पड़ेंगे, that will be the half of the dividends in this case. अगर suppose इस situation में firm को $200 अगर dividend pay करने हैं, तो उसकी after payment of dividends and after tax उसकी income है $400, but in this case, because half of the capital comes from the debt financing and it has been paid in this income, और इसमें जो remaining 50% है of the common stockholders and preferred stockholders and dividends, they are paid suppose 100 because it makes half of the capital. So in this case, the income becomes 440. So you can see here, because of the tax advantage of interest income, the firm can increase its net income. And the next concept is handling corporate losses and gains. The corporations that sustain a net operating loss can carry that loss back 2 years and forward 20 years to offset operating gains in those years. इसका मतलब यह है कि अगर फर्म को फॉर एग्जांपल इन दिस ईयर फर्म ने 100,000 का लॉस इनकर किया है और फर्म ने प्रीवियसली 50,000 एंड 50,000 इन द लास्ट 2 years इनकम अर्न की थी और उसके अगेंस्ट टैक्सेस पे किए थे. सो बिकॉज ऑफ द लॉस ऑफ 100,000 इन दिस ईयर, दिस लॉस कैन बी कैरिड बैक 2 years. सो इन द प्रीवियस 2 years जो इनकम है 50,000 ईच, दैट कैन बी मेड इक्वल टू 0 और उसके अगेंस्ट जो टैक्सेस पेड थे, दैट सो दोज टैक्सेस विल बी रिफंडेड बैक टू द कॉर्पोरेशन. And if the balance is still there, for example the loss was 200,000 और उसको after compensating with the last 2 years incomes, the balance is still there, that balance can be carried forward for the next 20 years. उसको हम अपनी next 20 years की incomes में से minus कर सकते हैं. So as you can see here in this example, for example a loss of 500,000 was incurred in 2007, so we can compensate it in the last 2 years, that is 2005 and 2006. So the incomes earned in these years will become equal to 0, and still we have a balance of 250,000 as a negative figure. So this 250,000 will be carried forward and it can be carried to a maximum of 20 years. And the taxes paid in the last 2 years, that is 2005 and 6, will be refunded back to the corporation. And then the concept of corporate capital gains or losses. Generally, the sale of a capital asset generates a capital gain. Assets sell for more than the original cost. For example, अगर asset की book value है 100,000 and it is sold for 150,000, so there is an income of 50,000. So that this 50,000 is a capital gain. And then if the book value is 100,000 and the asset is sold for 50,000, so there is a loss of 50,000. So this is a capital loss here, and the capital losses, they are compensated against the capital gains. And Currently, capital gains are taxed at ordinary income tax rate for corporations are a maximum of 35% in case of US, and capital losses are deductible only against capital gains. And any capital loss, it will be deductible only against a capital gain. It will not be carried forward or carried back. And now we will be discussing the financial environment. So businesses, they interact continually with the financial market because businesses, they have to arrange financing. They either have to arrange debt financing or they have to arrange equity financing. So in both cases, there is a segment of the society which saves money. So they have abundant capital with them and they provide this capital to the businesses. And the financial markets provide a place where both the savings and the businesses, they come close to each other, and the savings would flow to the firms which earn maximum and have minimum risk. And this forum is provided by the financial markets. So we have, if you look in the flow of funds in the economy, you can see here the saving sector is interacting with almost all different sectors here. So you can see here it is interacting with the financial market, and it is interacting with the financial brokers, it is interacting with the investment sector, and it is interacting with the financial markets as well. And what sector constitute with what kind of entities? So in the investment sector, if we look, there are businesses, there are governments, and there are households. So the households, they can invest, they can become an investor, and the businesses, they can be an investor, and the governments, they can also be an investor. And if we look at the saving sector, so the businesses, the households, the governments, they can all save and they can all invest in different categories using the financial markets. And the financial brokers which facilitate this whole arrangement in the financial markets, they can be investment banks and they can be mortgage banks as well. And the financial intermediaries, there are so many financial intermediaries. There are commercial banks, savings institutions, insurance companies, pension funds, financial companies, mutual funds. So these are all different financial intermediaries, and they interact with the segment of the society who have abundant capital with them, and they can provide them facilities to make an investment in the financial markets. So all these are the financial intermediaries. Then there is a secondary market which is very much common to us. These are the stock exchanges or security exchanges and over-the-counter markets. And then allocation of funds and how the funds will flow to some businesses. Funds will flow to economic units that are willing to provide the greatest expected return, holding risk constant. अब जिनके साथ रिस्क जो है मिनिमम होगा और उनमें जो इनकम पोटेंशियल है दैट विल बी मैक्सिमम, सो द फंड्स वुड जनरली फ्लो टू दोज टाइप्स ऑफ बिजनेसेस. लेकिन इसमें एक जनरल रूल है कि जहां पे रिस्क ज्यादा होगा वहां पे रिटर्न की पॉसिबिलिटी ज्यादा है. सो हायर द रिटर्न, हायर द इनकम इज पॉसिबल. सो इन अ रैशनल वर्ल्ड, the highest expected returns will be offered only by those economic units with the most promising investment opportunities, and the results are savings tend to be allocated to the most efficient uses. And if you see here the risk expected return profile, the lowest risk with the securities will earn the lowest return. So here this is risk. So where there is a risk equal to 0, that is US Treasury bills or the government Treasury bills, they are the risk free. So at a risk free rate, the return is minimum. And then when you keep moving along the risk, when you keep increasing the risk, there are different types of securities which provide higher return with a little higher returns. So if you move along this line, you can see here the speculative common stocks, they have maximum risk and highest possible return. And all other securities, they provide lesser returns than the speculative common stocks. So the people who want to take more risk, they would go along this line. and they will keep investing in the interest bearing securities, and the people who avoid risk, they will move opposite to this line, and they will invest. If the person want to take zero risk, then it will be investing in the government treasury bills. And the next slide is what influences security expected returns. It is default risk, it is the failure to meet the terms of a contract, and marketability is the ability to sell a significant volume of securities in a short period of time in the secondary market without significant price concession. उसमें जो marketability है, that is also very much important कि आप जिस वक्त भी अपनी सिक्योरिटीज को, अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट को विथड्रॉ करना चाहें, you can sell your securities without compromising the price of that security. So at least you can retrieve back your investment. So the marketability and default risk, they are the important factors here. Now we discuss the concept of rating agencies and the ratings to different businesses. So there are different organizations, that is Moody's Investment Services and Standard & Poor. They provide ratings based on their studies of the financial statements and the financial operations of different businesses and the future prospects of the businesses. So they assign different ratings. The AAA in case of Moody's is the best quality, and AAA all capital is the highest grade in case of Standard & Poor's. And gradually you can see the things. If you reach in the red portion, C represents the lowest grade in case of Moody's Investment Services, and D represents in default. So the businesses, the firms, they are in a very bad shape. So investment grade represents the top 4 categories. So if anyone wants to make their investments in any kind of securities, so this green portion represents the portion where the default risk is minimum, and the investors, they can earn a return out of it. And the areas highlighted in green, in red, they are the areas where the risk is maximum, and the firms, they are in a very bad shape, and there is a highest possibility, it is highly possible कि जो investors जो हैं वो losses जो suffer करेंगे. And then again, what influences expected security returns, that is maturity. It is concerned with the life of the security, the amount of time before the principal amount of a security becomes due, and the taxability considers the expected tax consequences of the security. So these are the variables which influence the expected security returns, and the investors, they have to keep in mind the maturity and taxability concepts while investing in any type of security. And term structure of interest rates. So how the interest rates, they are determined for a shorter period of time or for a longer period of time, and how the market value of the securities is in the markets. So if you look here, when we have the years to maturity, when there is a lot of time towards maturity, as we increase along the x-axis, the maturity time increases, for example, from 0 to 5 years, 10, 15, and all the way to 30 years. And then the yield is along the y-axis. So you can see here, when the years to maturity increase, the yield, it should also increase in case of usual case. So, and you can see here the upward sloping yield curve. As we keep on increasing the years towards maturity, the yield should also increase in the normal circumstances. But if it is decreasing, which is not usual, so these securities, in this case, the businesses, the investors, they would prevent investing in such type of businesses. And again, what influences the expected security returns, that is the embedded options and inflation. So embedded options, they provide flexibility for the firms to change their projects, and we will be discussing this embedded option in our chapter 14 or 13, I guess. उसमें होता ये है कि जब फर्म्स के पास ये फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी हो कि वो अपने प्रोजेक्ट्स को ओवर अ पीरियड कैन इंक्रीज और कैन चेंज, in that case the profitability prospects, they increase. So in that case the firm's value or the stock's value can increase, and this is associated as embedded options. And inflation is a rise in the average level of prices of goods and services. The greater inflation expectations, then the greater the expected return. अब जो expected returns हैं, they have to account for the inflation as well, because if you deduct the inflation, only then you will get the real returns. So the real returns and the inflation should be there. The inflation premium must account for in the expected returns. Now we will solve a few of the problems given at the end of the chapter, and it is the book of Fundamentals of Financial Management by Van Horn, as I explained in our first lecture. So you have to come towards the end of the chapter. On page 35, we have the first problem, which says Zaharia's Lira's Wholesalers, a partnership, owes 418,000 to various shipping companies. That is, the liability of the company is 418,000. Armand Zaharias has a personal net worth of 1.346 million, and including 140,000 equity interest in the partnership. The net worth, the personal net worth of the one of the partner is given as 1.346 million, and the partnership in the business is 140,000 as equity. And the Nick Lira has a personal net worth of 893,000, including the same equity interest in the business as his partner, that is 140,000. The partners have kept only a moderate equity base of 280,000 in the business. Both are 50% partner in the business, with earnings being taken out as partners' withdrawals. They wish to limit their risk exposure and are considering the corporate form. And what is required here is that what is their liability now for the business, and what would it be under the corporate form. So at present they are partners, they are general partners in a business, and their partnership contribution in total it is equal to 280,000, whereas their liabilities are 418,000, and their net worth it is also mentioned here. In case these partners, they are sued in case of any default or in case of any illegal action, so they can be sued equal to the net worth of both the partners. In this case, दोनों partners की जो total wealth है उसके बराबर इनके against sue किया जा सकता है, and they have to compensate for that because of the unlimited liability of the partners. And in case of corporate firm में इनकी जो contribution है that is 140,000 in the equity, तो इनकी liabilities जो हैं that will be again 140,000. So in this case they are protected because of the limited liability of the partners here. And will creditors be more or less willing to extend credit with a change in organization form? अब अगर इनकी organization form को change किया जाता है तो the creditors, will they be able to supply credits to them? In this case उनकी corporate form में अगर वो convert होते हैं तो in this case they are not liable, their liabilities are restricted to their capital contribution, that is 140,000 each. अब इस केस में उनको जो sue किया जा सकता है that is only against their contribution, but the creditors would be happy for an unlimited liability because उनकी जो net worth है that is quite big. So in that case creditors would prefer the present system, and they will not prefer the corporate form of the business in this case. The second problem says that the Lone Lee Milling Company is going to purchase a new piece of testing equipment for 28,000 and a new machine for 53,000. The equipment falls in the 3 years property class and the machine is in the 5 years property class. What annual depreciation will the company be able to take on the two assets? अब इसमें the asset which has a value of 28,000, हम इसमें 3 years property class जो है वो tax इसमें depreciation rates charge करेंगे. For the first 6 months we will determine it by for the half year, that is 6 months, 0.5, then we double it, we multiply it with 2, then the value of the asset is 28,000 and the life property class is 3 years, we divide it with 3. So then we calculate the first year's depreciation. या हम इसके में ये भी कर सकते हैं कि अगर you can remember the depreciation rates in case of different property classes, you can directly apply those tax rates. For example, in this case, the first year's tax rate would be somewhere around 33.33%, and second year it will be 44.45 some percent. The third year it will be 14 point some percent, like that. So if you can remember the depreciation rates directly, and you will be able to remember inshallah, because over the next few chapters you will be using this property classes of 3 years and 5 years regularly. तो आपको ये ज़ुबानी याद हो जाएंगे. So you can directly apply the 3 years property class depreciation rate to the 28,000 and 5 years property class depreciation to the 53,000, and you can calculate the depreciations for each year. And now we come to the problem number 4, which says that the Castle company was founded in 2000 X1 and had the following taxable income through 2000 X5. So the income is given for the respective years. Compute the corporate income or tax refund in each year, assuming the graduated tax rates discussed in the chapter. And it is again very simple. The tax rates which are applied for each year, we calculate them using the minor tax rates we calculated before. And then for the year 20X4, we have a net loss of 120,000. So in this case, we will compensate it in the last 2 years. That is, we have the loss of last 2 years. That is 35,000. So in this case, we have an income for the last 2 years equal to 35,000 and 68,000. So we compensate this loss against these 2 years income. The loss is equal to 120,000. So we have a net balance of loss equal to 17,000. This loss is carried back 2 years, and this loss will be carried for the next 20 years. So next year there is an income of 52,000. So the taxable income would become the taxable income for the year X5 becomes equal to 35,000. So in this case, whatever tax you will calculate it using the minor tax rates, the firm will get back these taxes out of the last 2 years, and then the next year, in the year 2000 and X5, the firm will be paying a tax on 35,000, that is 15% here in this case, what we discussed in previously. So here again the tax rate is 15%, and in this case the tax rate is 15% for the first 50,000, and then it is 25% for an income over 50,000 up to 75,000. So we have 18,000 in this case. So if you calculate it, this is this income and this income, that is 15% of this income, will be refunded back to the corporation, and only for the year 0x5 the firm will be paying a tax only against the income of 35,000 instead of 52,000. So this is problem number 4. Now I will discuss problem number 3. So here it says that Tripex Consolidated Industries owns $1.5 million in 12% bonds of Solo Electronics Company. It also owns 100,000 shares of preferred stock of Solo, which constitutes 10% of all outstanding Solo preferred stocks. In the past year, Solo paid the stipulated interest on its bonds and dividends of $3 per share on its preferred stock. The minor tax rate of Tripex is 34%. What taxes must Tripex pay on this interest and dividend income? अब इसमें उनके पास इंटरेस्ट इनकम कितनी है? ट्राइपेक्स ने जो इन्वेस्टमेंट की है सोलो में, दैट इज द 1.5 million in bonds, and it earns 12% interest. So the interest income would become 1.5 million into 12%. So you will get equal to 180,000 here. So this is an interest income. And the preferred stock, they have been paid against the shares of 100,000. So each share is earning a preferred dividend equal to $3. So the dividend income will become 100,000, the number of shares, into dividends per share, that is $3 per share. So there is an income of 300,000. So you can see here, this is an interest income and this is the dividend income. So this dividend income जब फर्म ने रिसीव की थी तो सोलो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स जिसने ये डिविडेंड्स पे किए हैं, it has already paid taxes. So now the firm, the Tripex, has to pay its taxes, that is 34%. अब 34% जब इन पे अप्लाई किए जाएंगे तो it in this case they have already been paid by the firm where the investment was made. अब 180,000 जो है, that is an interest income. The tax will be charged 100% on it. The taxable income in this case will become 100% of interest income plus, as it is mentioned in the book, out of the dividend income, the taxable income becomes 30% of it. There is a 70% exempt because of the double taxation. So in this case, the taxable income is 30% of the dividend income. So it becomes equal to 90,000. So the taxable income is equal to 270,000, and the tax will become equal to 270,000 into 34%. So you can calculate it here. So this is the problem number 3. And likewise you can solve for the problem number 5, and problem number 6 I don't expect you to solve. And that's all for today's lecture, and let's have a summary for today's lecture. We covered the following topics in our today's lecture, that is forms of business organizations and advantages and disadvantages of all those business types of business organizations, that is the sole proprietorship, partnership, corporations and limited liability companies, and also corporations taxable income and how do we determine the marginal income tax and the average income tax rates, and various methods of depreciation, that is straight line method, double declining balance method, and a hybrid of these two, that is modified accelerated cost recovery system, and the use of debt financing over both common and preferred stock financing. And also we discuss the purpose and makeup of financial markets and how they interact with each other, how the savings they flow towards the businesses, and what forums the financial markets provide to all these different stakeholders, and the ratings of the major rating agencies and securities default risk. And also we discussed the term structure of interest rates and its relation to the yield curve, where we discussed with the increase in the years towards maturity, the expected returns, they also increase. So this is all for today's lecture. Hope to see you inshallah in the next lecture. Till then, Assalamu alaikum.